At the start of the movie, a group of French sailors led by their second mate, Edmond Dantes, together with Fernand Montego, from the ship named Le Pharaon, were seen heading out to shore to the island called Elba. In Elba, they encountered British soldiers who were stationed there because Elba is the island where Napoleon Bonaparte is in exile. The British soldiers went after Edmond and Fernand. They were about to be captured, but Napoleon intervened. Edmond explained that the reason they have to go to the shore was to secure medical help for their captain who had contracted brain fever. During their stay in the island, Napoleon asked Edmond to carry a personal letter for him. Edmond was hesitant at first, but Napoleon said that it was only a letter from one soldier to another. Also, as the price that Napoleon demands of the use of his physician, Edmond agreed to Napoleon's request to carry the letter. The ship's captain eventually died during the night, and the crew went back to the ship and sailed to Marseille. The ship, Le Pharaon, reached Marseille. Monsieur Morel asked Edmond and Danglars to see him to know what happened. Danglars tried to discredit the decision that Edmond made to go to the shores of Elba. He was promoted as the new captain of the ship, Le Pharaon. Danglars was enraged. Edmond found Mercedes. He happily shared to Mercedes the good news of his new position. Fernand do not seem to be thrilled at what he had heard. Because of Danglars' resentment towards Edmond's promotion, and Fernand's envy of Edmond's good fortune, they hatched a plan that placed Edmond at risk. While Edmond was at home with his father and Mercedes, officers of the law arrived and advised him that he was being arrested under the order of the magistrate. He was brought to the presence of Gerard de Villefort. Villefort asked Edmond if he had any contact with Napoleon in Elba. He replied that he did, and with the presence of Fernand Montego most of the time. Edmond told Villefort that Napoleon handed him a letter which he still had with him. Edmond handed Villefort the letter and read it. He asked Edmond if he had read it, and Edmond said that he does not know how to read. Villefort said that the letter was dangerous, for it contains schedules of the guard duties in Elba. He also said that Edmond is foolish but innocent. Villefort decided to let Edmond go. But before Edmond can leave, Villefort asked him who was supposed to pick up the letter. Edmond replied that it was a certain Monsieur Clarion. Villefort clarified again what he had heard, and asked Edmond if he had mentioned that name to anyone. Edmond said that he did not. Villefort then burned the letter, saying it is too dangerous having it around. Villefort offered his carriage for transport, but instead of sending Edmond home, he was brought near the waters to bring him to Chateau d'If, which is an island prison. Edmond was able to escape. He went to Fernand's home to seek his help. Instead of helping Edmond, Fernand prevented him from leaving. Edmond asked Fernand why he is doing this. Fernand said that Edmond is the son of a clerk, and that he is not supposed to want to be like Edmond. Fernand told Edmond that he saw Napoleon give him a letter in Elba, and that he had read it. Edmond also discovered that Danglars and Edmond orchestrated his arrest through Villefort. Edmond was rearrested. Before leaving, Fernand gave Edmond a chess piece to remind Edmond of better times, and he was transported to Chateau d'If. On the French prison island of Chateau d'If, Edmond was met by the sadistic warden, Armand Dourniac. Before being taken into his cell, Edmond received a number of lashes courtesy of Armand Dourniac, which he will be receiving on multiple occasions. When Edmond's family and friends tried to learn of his whereabouts, they were told that he was arrested for treason, and also for murder when he killed one of Villefort's men when they tried to arrest Edmond, who was carrying a letter from Napoleon to one of Napoleon's agents. Villefort told them to forget about Edmond. Mercedes also received a letter from Villefort with news that Edmond had already been executed. Edmond gets a lashing on his yearly anniversary at the island prison courtesy of Armand. In his desperation, he attempted to take his own life, but decided not to do it when he sees the writing, "God will give me justice." One day, while Edmond was partaking his meal, something happened. Someone dug out from under his prison cell and emerged through the floor. The person who emerged from the floor is named Abbe Faria. Abbe told Edmond that it seems that he miscalculated his digging, for he was aiming for outside the prison walls, but instead ended up in Edmond's cell. Abbe said that he had already been in prison for 11 years. He asked for Edmund's help, and in return he will give him something priceless. He told Edmund that he can offer knowledge, something that cannot be taken away. He offered to teach Edmund economics, mathematics, philosophy, science. Abby also said that he will teach Edmund how to read and write. Edmund agreed to help Abby in digging the tunnel. They have a daily routine to follow, wherein, when the slat opens for toilet, they would include the dirt they had removed from their digging in the bucket. The other time the slat opens, which is at night, was for their play. The time between the opening of the slots give them the chance to do what they have to do, without fear of discovery. He told Edmund that he was in Napoleon's army, that he was imprisoned because he would not reveal the whereabouts of the vast treasures of the Spada family, whom he worked for. Abby also taught and trained Edmund how to defend himself. Using an improvised wooden stick that was taken from the prison door, he trained Edmund in the skills of sword fighting. Edmund also learned to fight using a knife. One day, when Abby was digging the tunnel, an accident happened. The tunnel caved in. Edmund was able to pull Abby out from the tunnel, but Abby suffered a mortal injury which resulted to his death. But before Abby died, he told him that the Spada treasure was real. Abby pointed to a space in the prison cell, where a map was concealed. He told Edmund to go to the island of Monte Cristo, and follow the clues in the map which will lead to the treasure. Abby told Edmund to use the treasure only for good.
In Abbe's cell opened, and the guard did not receive the plate from Abbe. They discovered that he had died. Preparations were made to bury Abbe, where they placed his body inside a bag. Edmund saw an opportunity to escape. He brought Abbe's body to his cell and then went inside the bag and sewed himself in. When the guards came to get the body, it was Edmund who was inside the bag. Unfortunately, Edmund did not know that they throw out the body into the sea, with an iron ball chained to the body. When he was about to be thrown over to the sea, he saw a set of keys that were dangling from a person's waist and grabbed the said keys, causing that person also to plummet into the sea with him. He was able to free himself from the iron ball, and saw that the person who also went over to the ocean was Armand d'Orléac. Edmund drowned Armand.
Edmund was able to make it to shore, where he encounters a band of pirates, preparing to execute one of their own, named Jacopo. Their leader, Luigi, told Edmund that they came to the island to bury alive a member, who attempted to keep some stolen gold for himself instead of sharing with others. He said that some of his loyal friends asked Luigi to grant Jacopo mercy, but Luigi said that is something that he cannot do, for he would lose control of the old crew. Luigi said that Edmund is a fortunate find, because he can show mercy to Jacopo, and not appear weak to the crew. That is by having Edmund and Jacopo fight, where if Jacopo wins, he can go back to the group. If Edmund wins, he can take Jacopo's place in the crew. So Jacopo and Edmund fought. Edmund was able to defeat Jacopo but spared his life. Jacopo swears allegiance to Edmund for life for the mercy he showed. They both got to join and work with the pirates. Edmund learned from Morel, who did not recognize him, that Fernand and Anglers were in cahoots in his betrayal. He also learned that Fernand and Mercedes got married after Edmund was imprisoned. Edmund and Jacopo sailed to the island of Monte Cristo. Following the inscriptions and clues on the map, they were able to find the location of the treasure, which were located underwater, in a cavern on the island. Jacopo was ecstatic. They loaded trunks of treasures, but there were still about 8 more boatloads underneath the water. He said that Edmund is wealthier than any man that he had heard of, that whatever Edmund's problems were, they're over. Jacopo asks Edmund, what does he want to buy? Edmund said revenge, from Danglars, Villefort, Fernand and Mercedes. Jacopo said, let's kill these people. That he can do it. Bam 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 bam, he's back before a week's end, and they can spend the treasure. But Edmund said that death is too good for them, that they must suffer as Edmund had suffered, that they must see their world that they hold dear be ripped from them as it was ripped from Edmund. Edmund and Jacopo headed out to Paris to establish Edmund's identity as a count. They bought an estate using part of the treasure. The owner of the estate initially disagreed, but when he saw the wagon that was filled with treasures, he readily agreed to the sale and turned over the title. Invites for a gathering were sent to people of stature that included Villefort and his wife. At the said gathering, Edmund, as the Count of Monte Cristo, met Villefort and his wife, who did not recognize Edmund. Edmund was looking for Fernand and Mercedes, but did not see them. Albert, who is the son of Fernand and Mercedes, went to Rome with his friends. While they were celebrating in the streets, a woman kissed Albert. The woman headed into the catacombs and Albert followed her. In the catacombs, he was taken by a group of men. They tied him to a chair. Then they threatened to send Count Mondego his ring with a finger attached for ransom. but Albert bravely said, "Do your worst." Then Edmund arrived. He fought off the men, and was able to defeat them, and ordered them to release Albert. But it was just an act, because the group of men who took Albert was Luigi Vampa's group. Edmund invited Albert to his estate for breakfast the following day. Edmund was invited by Albert for his birthday celebration. During that said day, Edmund met Fernand, and he also was introduced to Mercedes, who thanked him for saving Albert. When the time came to toast the birthday celebrant, and Mercedes was standing up for his husband Fernand, who was unavailable to toast Albert, the Count stood up and instead proceeded to perform the toast for Albert. Mercedes kept looking at the Count and saw behavior which he also saw being done before by Edmund. When the Count was leaving and entered his carriage, he saw Mercedes inside. Mercedes tried to ask the Count if he is Edmund, but he denied her questions and returned to the Mondego estate. One of Edmund's plan was for Danglars to be caught while in the act of theft. Danglars tried to fight off Edmund, but he did not succeed. The Count revealed to Danglars that he is Edmund. Danglars was arrested. Another plan is to let Villefort reveal his role in the death of his father, Monsieur Clarion. When they met, Edmund asked Villefort why he told Mercedes that Edmond Dantes had been executed. Edmund said that telling Mercedes that Edmund had died does not benefit Villefort but Fernand. And in return, Fernand did a favor for Villefort, which is to kill Villefort's father. Villefort recognized that the Count of Monte Cristo was Edmund. Villefort was arrested. When Edmund got back to his estate, Mercedes was waiting. Edmund told her that he thought they had finished this conversation in the carriage. But Mercedes said that she did, because she realized that the Count mentioned the name Dantes when she had not even mentioned that name. Mercedes spent the night with Edmund. In the morning, Jacopo told her that the Count is inviting her and leaving the country with her son. Mercedes went home to the Mondego estate and found Fernand packing. He said that he is bankrupted because all his debts had been called in, that he also will be arrested for piracy, corruption and murder. He told Mercedes to pack items so they can leave, but she said that she won't be going with him. Mercedes also told Fernand that Albert is the son of Edmond Dantes. Fernand headed out to the ruins of his family's estate. He opened the trunks he believes contained treasures. In one of the trunks that Fernand opened, he saw a chess piece. Edmund revealed himself to Fernand. Edmund and Fernand fought each other. Edmund was about to kill Fernand, but Albert intervened to defend the father he had known. But Mercedes arrived, and told Albert what is the Count's relationship to Albert. That the Count, who is really Edmond Dantes, is Albert's father. Fernand shot Mercedes and fled. But when Fernand realized that he had nothing, and Edmund had everything, he went back. He challenged Edmund to a fight. Edmund was able to subdue Fernand, and kill him in the process. Edmund purchased the island prison, Chateau d'If, with the intention of destroying it. But he decided otherwise and swore to Abbe that he will use the treasure for good, and left the island with Mercedes, Albert and Jacopo.